It's recording, going on.
All right, good morning, everyone. For me and Charlotte, it's good afternoon already because it's 2 p.m. for us. What can I say about Charlotte? Charlotte is one of my dearest friends, that's for sure. We met each other already. She's better in dates than I am, but I think it's 24 years ago. No,
No,
no, 20,
2003.
21 years ago, something like that. We
Yeah.
used to be cabin mates on a cruise ship. We didn't have the same position. I was working in a restaurant and she was working in the, how do you call it? Cabins, hotel
Housekeeping.
rooms. In the
Housekeeping, I guess.
yes,
Yeah.
housekeeping as a stewardess, we call it. So we had such a wonderful time when we were on board. We did 2 contracts together, and after that, we kept seeing each other. We tried to see each other like once a year, or sometimes. I mean, with COVID, we couldn't see each other for a couple of years. We met last year for the last time, and this year we're making plans to see each other again. So I'm not going to be asking any questions because I know everything about her. So, girlfriends, don't be shy. And if you feel uncomfortable anything, you just don't answer. I think these guys are
Yes.
they're gonna be, nice enough. So you don't have to be
I hope so.
uncomfortable. All right, let's start.
Okay, so where to begin? To begin with, I'm Charlotte. I'm 43 years old and I live in Norway, but I am originally from Sweden. And I grew up in Stockholm, which is the capital. When I was 20 years old, approximately, I moved to the south of Sweden, to the third biggest city, which is Malmö, very close to Copenhagen in Denmark, if you're familiar. And at that time, they had just built the bridge between the two countries. So it was really easy to go between Denmark and Sweden for the first time when I moved there. And I moved because I was going to study to be an air traffic controller. But I started working as an assistant. So I lived in Malmö approximately 5 or 6 years. But in that time, I also went to work on the ship, which seems a bit strange if you're going to be an air traffic controller. But at that time, there were a lot of delays in the education. So we were put on hold to start. So during that time, I saw my opportunity to travel and do something completely different before starting my, let's say, grown up or real job. So my first contract, as Simone said, I went to Aruba to start training for housekeeping. And I was originally going to share a cabin with a girl from Chile. But the first day, she got word that her grandfather got really, really sick. So as the way I remember it, she went aboard together with me. And the same day, she went back ashore and went back to Chile. And that's why I had a room in my cabin for Simone. And that's how we ended up staying together. So it's kind of
The
destiny.
rest is history.
Yes.
Don't share too much. Let's talk about your current life.
Yes.
or about your childhood, but no cruise stories because they don't know me that well, you see.
So back to Sweden. I had to research a little bit because I was wanting to see, are there any similarities between Brazil and Sweden? Because those countries, to me, seem very, very different. Sweden
Hi,
is a very
Bruce.
small country. Hello. Sweden is a very small country compared to Brazil. And if my calculations are correct, Brazil is 18.9, so almost 19 times as big as Sweden.
Oh.
And of course, a lot of higher population. Sweden only has around 10 million people now. Something that's similar, though, is the density of population. Because I thought Sweden is kind of, there's people don't live very close together. But I found out Sweden is actually more densely populated than Brazil. And I think what's similar is we have a lot of nature areas or Like you have the Amazon, where not a lot of people live. And it's a bit similar to Sweden because in the northern parts, we have a lot of forests and mountains and nature and not a lot of people. So if you cut Sweden into, if you divide it into 4 parts, because it's a long country, so most people live in the southernmost part, in the fourth, like 25% southernmost part. And I found out that almost a quarter of the population live in and around Stockholm. So it's a very, let's say, the division of where people live is very askew, or not a lot of people live in the northern parts. Most people live by the coast in the cities. And also, I think mostly because of the climate in Sweden, most prefer to live in the south because it's not as cold as the northern parts. Obviously, I guess it's the other way around, maybe in Brazil, that it's a more comfortable climate in the south than in the north. So it's the same but different. And I guess another climate thing to talk about is the seasons. We have 4 seasons that are very different from each other. Winter, obviously, snowy and cold. Nowadays, sometimes rainy and windy. That turns into spring, which is like a medium temperature. Summers can be really hot. I mean, hot for us is like 30, 35 degrees centigrade nowadays. And then you have the fall before another winter. So that's, I guess, what's a bit different from the subtropical climates that you guys are from. If you want to talk about what industries or exports you have in Sweden, it's a lot of iron ore, wood, like natural resources. Also some tech, and some bigger companies, like, for example, IKEA is something most people have heard about.
Yep.
And also some music exports like ABBA and Roxette. The last, I think, were quite big in Brazil, actually, more than in Europe for some reason. I was wondering also, do you have any questions so far?
Yes, of course. I think it was a great introduction. You really did your homework, Charlotte. Proud of you.
I try.
And now it's my question for them, because when I used to live in Brazil, of course, IKEA didn't exist. In which cities do you guys have IKEA? Like in Rio de Janeiro, Leandro, do you have IKEA? Do you know
No,
that?
no, I
You
don't
don't
exactly
know?
know what is that.
Okay,
No,
so
there is
maybe
in
Bruce
Brazil.
can help us out, sharing the screen before IKEA.
Well, I
And
don't think
Matheus, do you have IKEA there in your city?
I
Oh,
live
you're
in
also
Rio.
from Rio. You're
I
also
live
from
in
Rio.
Rio, but I have lived in the south of Brazil and in the north also. I visit northwest, and I never seen IKEA here. I heard a lot because it's very present on the United States, I guess. It's a furniture, a big furniture store, is it?
Yeah.
Am I right? But it's not present in the country.
And for you,
Um,
Carolina, have you ever heard about it?
I heard about it, but I've never seen a store, for example, here in Brazil, like Matheus was saying. Never.
I just did a Google. It's in
Yeah.
Chile. One.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Oh,
They have to expand in South America, huh?
yeah,
For
because
sure.
here it's
Yeah, they should.
everywhere.
Yeah, they should.
Belgium and in the Netherlands, we have plenty. Okay, guys, so do you have some questions for Charlotte?
I have a question. Yeah,
Yes.
start.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So Charles, yesterday I was talking to a friend about the Nordic, is it Nordic culture, right? Nordic,
Yeah.
the countries, okay, Nordic culture. And we're trying to guess what moves the economy of the Nordic countries when it comes to exportations. You know, to what are your trades with other countries? So we found that maybe the cod, the caviar, I don't know what kind of products Sweden exports and make trades with other countries. Can you go a little bit deeper in it?
Yes, as I mentioned it briefly, it's mostly woods. Like they have a lot of big forests, so they cut them down and regrow and export the wood for building, and also some mining. Like they have iron, a lot of iron, which they, if you go back for about 80 years during the Second World War, they were very, they say they were neutral in the war, so they could sell iron both to Germany and those on that side and the Allied forces. So after the Second World War, they made a lot of like say economical progress because the rest of Europe was completely bombed. So when Sweden didn't have to put in resources to that, they could evolve a lot financially. So during that time, they started a lot of companies in technology from that time, like Ericsson, that's later known as Sony Ericsson, is the mobile phones. So Ericsson was a big tech company, at least in Europe. Maybe it's like IKEA, it's not very popular in Southern America.
It was. It was very, very popular. Yeah.
Yes, before all the smartphones. And also they have a lot of like inventions, like the Volvo cars, and they also had the Saab cars. So at least in Europe, it's kind of known for a lot of those technical things that they export. But I would say mainly the natural resources.
Well, I think that there's also something very present in our country nowadays. I'm in the military, so I noticed is the Gripen fighter jet. You know, the defense industry of Sweden, I think it's very well developed nowadays, and you're exporting a lot of things. I think unmanned aircrafts as well, and the company it's Gripen. No, it's Saab. The company exports to Brazil not only the fighter jet as a whole, but also the technology to be implemented, and we make some parts of the jet here. So I think the new fleet of fighter jets in Brazil is right from Sweden.
Oh wow, yeah, I didn't know that. So thanks for sharing.
Bruce has some questions. Bruce, go ahead and ask yourself.
I entered them, but I don't see them in the chat group there. Where are they at? Oh, it's okay. I got
there's
it here. Okay.
Something.
Yeah, which cell phone do you use?
I am using the iPhone right now.
Which number?
11, I think.
That's what I have, but I want a 15.
Yes, I wish I have one in a few years, or maybe 16, because I hope mine will hang on for a bit more.
And then how often do you travel to other countries in Europe?
I travel quite often. If I don't count, going between Norway and Sweden to see my family, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Because we have, where I live now, it's very cold and dark in the winter because I live north of the polar circle. So the winters are very long and cold and dark. So we try to take a flight to something warmer and with sunlight in the winter, so we don't have to endure the whole winter here, because it's very, I'm not gonna say depressing because it's not that bad, but I don't know, maybe if during COVID when we couldn't travel, it was really feeling like an extra long winter season that year.
And which country do you go to for your sunlight?
We've been mostly going to Gran Canaria. It's it belongs to Spain, but it's west of Africa. I don't know if it's very popular as a destination in Europe because it's close, but you still get a quite warm climate.
Canary Islands, huh?
Canary Islands, yes.
And so can you say this phrase in your language?
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Yes.
Okay. I just have to think. I don't think there's a good translation for guys, but if I just say god morgon, hur mår du?
Huh?
Ah,
Again.
Good morning.
okay,
Yeah.
again.
Move down.
Good morning. So it's a similar good morning, good morning.
That's okay.
And yeah, and how are you is hur mår du?
Good morning.
Oh my gosh, the same. It
That's
sounded exactly the same. Didn't you feel the same?
Good
Like
morning.
good morning and how are you was the same.
Good morning. What?
God morgon, hur mår du? Yeah,
Good
same,
morning.
same.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, I agree, Simone. Sounds the same to me. I was just like Bruce, like, wait a minute.
Can you spell it? Can you spell it for us so we can see what it looks
Let's see if
like?
I can write it in the chat here.
Okay.
Let's see. There's so many. I installed Zoom today, so there's so many safety features.
On your computer?
Yes, all the settings are coming up with, do you want to do this? Do you want to allow us to do that? And
Why? Which program are you using? Which computer are you using?
I'm just using Zoom on my, there's good morning, hur mår du?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
And it's,
Good morning.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because I know
And you see
German
we-
a little bit, but not much. I mean, Guten Morgen.
yeah.
And Simone says something similar, but I don't remember exactly how she pronounces it
Yeah,
for Belgium.
Goedemorgen. Goedemorgen. Hoe gaat het? Hoe gaat het?
Yeah.
Yeah, similar.
similar.
When Charlotte is visiting, she understands when we're speaking Dutch, right? You understand here
Oh,
and there
well.
something, right?
A
More or
word
less.
here, a word there. I mean, it's kind of related to German, I think. I'm not too good at the language relations. I know the Scandinavian, like Norway, Denmark, and Sweden, the languages are quite similar. So maybe not everyone understands everything from the other countries, but you can, if you concentrate, you can understand a little bit. And it wasn't very hard or difficult for me to understanding Norwegian when I moved here. But as Simone said, Norway is very diverse, big differences from the north to the south to the west. So where I live, the dialect is very easy. I think from Bergen, where Ole is, the dialect is quite different. And I struggled a lot to understand people from Bergen when I first moved here. But in
Yeah.
general,
Your language is Swedish.
Swedish, yes.
Yeah. So how hard is to learn English?
To be honest, it's kind of, there are some similarities. And also we have a lot of the English influences from TV and movies in Sweden. So people tend to learn English quite easily.
Yeah, Charlotte, I'd like to ask you about it. What languages do you speak, and why did you move to Norway?
I speak Swedish and Norwegian, and English, I would say more or less fluent. I studied French in school, but I wouldn't say that I know it. Like I don't regret a lot of things, but one of the things I do regret is not going to France after school when I had it, fresh from my teacher, because then I would have been able to practice it more and, living in the language and speaking, absorbing. But I learned it. Maybe if I go to France and take classes, I could relearn it somehow, but I wouldn't say that I know it now.
And
But why did you move to Sweden? I didn't get the first
Norway.
part because I was late.
Oh,
but-
yes. Oh, yes. She also asked why I moved to Norway. So I finally, after all the ships and travels, I became an air traffic controller, and it's a very nice job. I like problem solving, and it suits me very well. One of the downsides, though, is that you can't it's not easy to decide exactly where you want to live. So without getting into the details, at the time when I was finished, there was an available job in Norway. So I applied for it. I wasn't planning on staying. I've lived here now for almost 17 years already. Time flies. I was thinking maybe 3 or 4 years, but it turned out a I met my current boyfriend. Sounds stupid. We've been living together for a long time, but we're not married. My living partner, he's Norwegian, so that made me stay, I guess. And for now, we don't have any plans to move back to Sweden anytime soon. It's different to live in northern Norway, but there's a lot of beautiful natures. The weather is not great, but we are very good at enjoying the nice days. And then when it's raining, we can try and relax.
And
Nice.
what exactly do air traffic controllers? Sorry, Kirsty.
No, go on.
What
Uh,
exactly do air traffic controller?
Yes, so a lot of people think of air traffic controllers like in the tower looking at the airplanes, but I work in front of a computer screen looking at a radar picture. So I just make sure that the airplanes get to where they are going safely and without any delays, and of course the safety first, so there are not any near, that they come too close in their space. Yeah.
You connect directly to the pilot.
Yes, we
So,
talk
yeah,
to the
there's a
pilots.
center of control where you connect directly to the pilot, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Nice.
So I do speak English almost every day, but of course it's a very small, like you only use certain phrases all the time. Everything is very standardized, so we don't have meaningful long conversations exactly. It's more like numbers and phrases that
And that's
are
repetitive, right? Repetitive.
sorry.
And repeat that like same.
Repetitive, yes.
Yeah, understand.
Exactly.
Carol,
And
may I
sorry,
ask
Carolina.
No,
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
Mateus
Go
first.
ahead. Carolina, ladies first, please.
Oh, you can go on. I forgot about my question. I'll think about it again.
Take a note. So, Charlotte, yesterday the friend I was talking about the Nordic culture. Once I read that, especially in Iceland, they have some trouble in translating terms of English to their mother language, which is, I don't know the name,
Icelandic, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. They have some troubles with it. They don't use to translate to bring terms from English to their language. So they make a translation that creates a giant or awkward word, It also happens in other languages that I have studied. And because of that, their mother language is becoming they're not forgiving it, but it's becoming less popular with the newer generations. Is this process also happening in Sweden? Are the new generations tending to speak and learn and use more English than the Swedish?
Yes, you have a point there. I know that Iceland is kind of famous for they want to keep their language intact, so they make up their own words instead of borrowing from English. Not so much in Sweden or in Norway, as far as I know. They have a lot of the words that they borrow from English. And as you said, the younger generations, they are getting very good at speaking English. And my mother's generation, she studied in London for 1 year, so she's making herself understood. But she has friends that almost doesn't speak a word of English, so it's really happened fast that people are getting English taught in schools, and that they. I think when I was in school, we got English lessons from we were 10 years old. And now I think it might even be a little bit younger because, the kids, they are on YouTube and TikTok and they get a lot of the English language already.
Would you say that English became kind of a second language in your country, or?
Yeah, I wouldn't say. I mean, if you go to Sweden, it's not hard to find another person who speaks English. And the way you speak, you guys, I think you would all be easy for Swedish people to to understand and communicate with you.
Hey, that's
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
good.
Yeah. I'll give it a try one day.
Yes, very good. I see that Bruce have a lot of questions in the chat. So if it's all right with you guys, I will just try to answer some of them here. It says here if we have any English speaking channels in our public airwaves. And also the same, do some of your radio stations speak in English? I would say on the first, on TV, we have a lot of English speaking channels. At least where I live, we have a lot of extra channels like Discovery Channel and National Geographic. And we also have some BBC, like the British channels. So we're a bit closer to the British kind of English than the American mostly.
But that's in
so we
cable
do.
TV, right? Cable or satellite.
Yes.
But you have like your public airwaves that are open to the public without paying money. Do you have any English speaking channels there?
No, then I
Okay.
would say no. They just have the Norwegian ones here. In Sweden, I would say it's the same. Same with the radio. I don't think there are any English speaking channels.
I think that the governments basically mandate that. They say you cannot have an English or other language, but in the United States, we have many Spanish
Oh, yeah.
language channels. So that's why I was wondering. And here in Brazil, I don't know of any English speaking channels on TV or the radio. And so
Just
the
Okay.
government
Just cable
regulates
TV.
that.
Yeah.
Mandatory listen Portuguese.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great.
And he also asked me if I drive a Swedish car, and no, unfortunately not. I'm driving a Volkswagen, which is German, I guess.
It's German.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now I've been mostly driving Volkswagen since I got my license, so I don't know if I could easily learn to handle another car anytime
Is-
soon.
Is Volvo popular there in Sweden? I know it's from the country, but is that popular?
Yeah, I would say it's quite popular.
Yeah.
It's not much cheaper than all the other brands, even though it's from the same country. But you see quite a lot of Volvo cars in Sweden. Yes.
And
Yeah.
Saab,
Here is quite expensive, a Volvo vehicle, but it's also considered one of the most safety.
Yeah.
Secure safety. But I'm always confused
Safe.
with it. Safety.
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah, I think it used to pass with the highest grades in that collision test, you know.
impact.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't think they make the Saab cars anymore, unfortunately. You see some of the older models. And also a little fun fact about Volvo cars. They actually invented, the 3-point seatbelt that you have one on the shoulder and then two,
Mhm.
because they used the
Mhm.
seatbelts used to be just around the waist. But instead of taking a patent so that they were the only ones to use it, they said that because this is regards to safety, we share the patent so everybody can use it. So it's a bit of something bragging rights for Volvo that they shared the safety knowledge.
There is left-handed traffic.
We have right-handed traffic.
Okay.
Do you have left in Brazil?
No, right.
Right.
No, he
Okay.
is right. Yeah, he is right.
Let's see. My favorite Swedish food. Oh, where to begin? There's a lot of different foods in Sweden. But if I'm going to take something that's what you call like the old-fashioned kind of Swedish food, I like something that's called raggmunk. It's very. I write it in the chat here because it's not easy to pronounce in English. It's a pancake that you also have potatoes in, and then you fry some pork and a jam of lingonberries. And I don't think you have lingonberries in Brazil. It's like small red berries, maybe similar to cranberries. but it's something that you find in on the ground in northern Sweden.
Write it on the chat as well, Charlotte, please, so they can
Yes,
Google it. Yeah.
What's the
lingonberry
name?
jam.
Sorry? What's the name? Sorry.
Of the food.
Yeah, no, the fruit. The
It's
fruit.
the fruit is lingonberry. It's in the chat now.
Thank
Berry.
you. Mhm.
I don't think.
I'm not
it
you.
is.
No, I think it's a very Nordic kind of food. I don't know if you have it in Belgium.
No, we also
Simone?
don't. No.
No.
Mateus, you can find it on Google and share it on your screen so we can see
Yes,
it. That's a
just a sec.
possibility.
I'll do that. Just a second.
Okay.
And also you asked if we use euro, and no, we are part of the European Union, but we our own currency. Right now, it's not very good because the euro is very, very strong compared to both the Swedish and the Norwegian currency. So going on a European vacation right now is very, very expensive. And yes, it's a krona, Bruce. That's correct.
So that's the lingonberry, right?
Oh.
Yes. So we make that into a jam that's very like sweet and sour.
It grows like in small bushes, very very next to the ground. It seems to be.
Yes.
Right?
So it's you have to have a strong back if you want to go pick those.
Have to have what? A straw.
A strong back because you have to bend down to reach.
Oh,
And what
interesting.
about the dish? You could do a search on the dish so we can
Sure.
see what that looks like.
Yes.
Let me
It
just see
probably
what,
looks.
what's the name of it? Red monk. Red monk.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, the name
Say it
is-
again.
I
Say
tried. I swear I tried.
Dagmunk.
Where is it?
Jim?
Images.
And Charlotte, what about Norwegian food? As Bruce asked
Yes.
about the Swedish, do you have a favorite dish? Norwegian?
Let's see. We can see the pictures first, and I will get back to that.
Is it eggs with a bread beside it?
It's like a pancake, but you have potato in it, so it gets a bit more foody. Like a pancake for me is almost like a dessert, but with the
Mhm.
potato in it, it's more filling. And you see, you have bacon on most of these dishes.
Okay.
And that's the
And-
thing about, I think, both Swedish and Norwegian food. A lot of it is like brown and yellow. Doesn't look very appetizing.
Is this jelly thing jam? Or,
Yes,
yeah?
that's the lingonberry jam.
Ah, that's the lingonberry jam. So it's sweet. It's sweet.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have
Interesting.
sweet and then the salty bacon.
Ah, it's like a mix of flavors. Yeah. Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. Seems to
Charlotte,
be.
from what I remember, being in Sweden, it was a little bit bitter as well. It was not that sweet like strawberries or grape. It,
Did you taste the
lingonberry.
lingonberries?
Yeah, it's not that sweet, I think.
No, it's more like sour bitter maybe,
Yeah,
but when you
yeah.
make a jam, it's very sweet for me at least, but it's
Yeah.
more fresh than strawberry jam or raspberry. I'm gonna think of if there's any Norwegian food that I really like. Yes, there is. They're very good at fish in Norway, I have to say. So I like a lot of the Nordic or Scandinavian food is about preservation because we have the seasons. In the winter, you could not get food easily. So up here in the north, they used to dry fish. I think they do that in Portugal as well. At least Norway used to export a lot of dry fish to Portugal to make bacalhau. Do you have that in Brazil as well?
Yeah.
Dry
Yeah.
cod. Dry cod.
Dry cod,
Codfish.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I would say one of the better dishes from here. And also I like, what do you call that? They have like lamb stew almost. It sounds disgusting, but you boil like cabbage together with lamb pieces, and it creates like a broth. And it's a really savory dish that I really like.
What about the breakfast? So you mentioned that that pancake is mostly eaten and a dessert, right?
No, she goes to McDonald's. They have the McDonald's
Ah,
breakfast there.
okay. But you prepare something like, how is your breakfast? You make pancake like that in breakfast or not?
No, I would say that I mostly eat like yogurt with some cereal. A lot of people in Scandinavia eat bread for breakfast, bread with like make a very simple sandwich, just put some salami or cheese or something on it. Something that I noticed when I visit Simone in Belgium, that they have very white bread, very light, and they like putting sweet, what do you call it, like a spread on it. But we are more like dark bread with a lot of fibers and more savory toppings on the sandwiches for breakfast.
You guys know the word savory?
Yeah.
Savory?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like our group here.
Salty
Yes.
things. They're very popular in Brazil, like pastel, joelho, coxinha, whatever.
Mm. Let's
Good,
see. And
yeah.
there are still some questions here in the chat if you are ready. And what do I do for fun? Yeah, a lot of things. I like taking walks outside. I also like seeing my friends, just hanging out at a coffee cafe, having coffee. I used to dive a lot, but I haven't had time for that lately. You
Really,
can dive
diving.
in, yes,
Dive,
you can
right.
dive in Norway, but you need a lot of protective gear because it's very cold.
Yeah, problem.
Um,
Charlie, I have a question for you.
Yes.
It's about the recent news. On March 7th, Sweden joined to NATO. You know, NATO,
Oh, yes.
the alliance. So Sweden used to have a neutral policy when it comes to military things, you know, but because of the things going crazy with Russia and Ukraine, Sweden decided to apply and to join to NATO. Does it represent something for your people in your country? Do you think it's good? Do you have opinion about it? Or it's just military affairs and you don't think of it?
No, it's been a bit strange for me because living in Norway for such a long time, they are in NATO, and also working with air traffic, I see that there already are a lot of collaborations across the border. So for me, it was like, why not join NATO for Sweden? Because they're already kind of an ally to Norway. And with everything that's happening right now, why not? Because it's a little bit more safety in being a part of an alliance, I think. So for me, it was a mostly positive thing. What's interesting though, that it changed very fast from people saying that, oh no, we shouldn't join. It's been a neutral country we haven't had any war in Sweden for like 200 years, I think they say.
Yep.
And people are kind of taking pride in that. So a lot of people are worried now that we're gonna get pulled into some kind of war that nobody wants to be part of. But so far, I think it's a good thing. Yes.
Good.
Let's see. Do I drink alcoholic beverages? Yes, I do. Not that much because we have quite strict policies around my job, of course. And what type is popular in Sweden and Norway? I say that in general, they say that we're part of like the beer and vodka region. We don't drink vodka per se, but similar beverages. So distilled alcohol that's very strong. One is called, and now I have to think, aquavit, which is similar to vodka, but they flavor it with different kinds of herbs mostly. I wouldn't say that's my favorite though, because it's very, very strong. And the times I have tasted it, it's like something you like, ugh, you feel like it's burning all the way down, and it's very maybe like if you had a lot of you know, like during Christmas when you eat a lot of food, some people say it's a nice beverage to digest all the heavy foods. Oh, and have you ever visited Brazil? Like, yes and no, because when I was on the cruise ship, the last time I was away, I started my contract in Buenos Aires in Argentina, but I struggled a lot with jet lag the first week, and they sailed through the whole east coast of Brazil. So I remember let's see if I remember the name, because I mix it up sometimes. Is it Fortaleza? Is that a place in
Yeah.
Brazil?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I put my feet on Brazilian ground, and I took a bus to, it was like not exactly a shopping mall, like a market where they sold like souvenirs and stuff. I think I bought a necklace, and then I was so tired I had to go back to the ship and work. So I don't know if that
You
counts
stayed
as
in Brazil.
actually being. I had my feet on Brazilian ground, and I'm welcome. Thank you very much. I hope to go visit Brazil sometime together with Simone to get the most out of the visit.
Charlotte, in the city where you came from in Sweden, did you have the midnight sun and aurora borealis in where you used to live there?
No, we don't have it. I mean, if you have a really, really strong aurora borealis or northern lights, you can see it in southern Sweden, but then it's like really special conditions. And also during the summer, you have very light nights. I wouldn't say to have the midnight sun, because you can't see the sunlight the whole night. It's more like in the middle of the night, you have 2 or 3 hours with twilight kind of lighting, but not exactly midnight sun. Which is where I live now. We have both the northern lights and the midnight sun.
I asked you because it's becoming very popular. Some trips to go to Norwegian countries just to see the aurora borealis and also the midnight sun and this kind of phenomenon. Do you have any tips for someone who would like to go on a trip like this to spot the aurora borealis and also the midnight sun? Do you have any tips?
My tip is that it's hard to see both on the same trip, because of course when you have the midnight sun, it's very light outside, and you kind of depend on darkness to see the northern lights. So unfortunately, I think you have to go 2 times to get to see both things. Yeah,
Makes sense.
and also, yeah, and also of course with the aurora borealis, if it's cloudy, you can't see that much, and you can't control the weather. So you just have to be prepared that you might go and you can end up not seeing anything.
And which part of your country is the best to spot this phenomenon?
As far north as you can possibly go. I would say the northernmost city is something called Kiruna. It's also has a big mine. Not that much else to see in that city, I'm afraid. But as you said, the last year it's become very popular to see northern lights. So a lot of people focus on that kind of tourism. They have dog sledding, you know, with the polar dogs pulling you, and also scooter trips and that kind of thing. So they kind of expand that interest. They have expanded that industry a lot the last few years.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Let's see, I have a few chat questions here. if I have ever visited England and if I understood the people. I have visited England. I was in London with my mom a few years ago. I would say I understood most of what they said. But my teacher in school was actually from Great Britain. So we were taught that kind of English. But I've heard a lot of people, especially when you get like the accents in Great Britain, it can be very hard to follow what they're saying, and a lot of slang words and expressions that we don't get if we are not native to England. I'll say I'll take the first. If I'm a DIY, like do-it-yourself person, working on my own house and apartment, I'm afraid not. I'm not very good with that sort of thing. I painted a little bit, like I painted a few walls, but that's it. And then I think it's a nice way to round things off. So see, time flies when you're having fun, and it's almost 3 o'clock already. What would I like to know about Brazil or Brazilians? I have to say, I don't know that much of Brazilian food. So do you have any favorite foods that you can recommend to me if I ever visit in Brazil?
We have a national dish called feijoada.
I was going to.
Okay.
Yeah, feijoada.
Yeah, but I prefer the churrasco, the barbecue, the root
Barbecue.
Yeah.
Barbecue, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
barbecue-
I would recommend you like rice, bean, frying eggs,
Right.
and salad, right?
Rice and beans, yeah.
Very common.
Salad, yeah. Yeah,
And farofa, you forgot the farofa. That's the most
Yeah, that's
important.
it. Farofa as well. Like
Yeah.
it's very good.
Can
Yeah.
anyone
Simple and
explain
good.
her what farofa means?
Yeah.
Oh my God. How can
Yeah.
how can
No,
I
but
explain?
farofa, only Brazilians like know that. Ah, okay, breadcrumbs.
Yeah, breadcrumbs.
It's just
Yeah.
Breadcrumbs.
They have different flavors.
Yeah, but when I say breadcrumbs, I'm not talking about cubes of bread. I'm talking about like almost
Very
granule.
tiny.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we have manioca, farofa from manioca, manioca, is it manioca?
Manioc, or
Manioc
cassava, dry
from-
cassava.
Yeah, from what else? Bread as well. Bread.
Bread,
Oh,
corn.
Show
Yeah.
her a picture of feijoada,
Yeah.
a feijoada
Yeah.
lunch.
Oh, just a second.
Yes.
But she has to try that to actually
Okay.
discover
For
what is
sure,
that,
for
right?
sure.
You know.
Typical Brazilian food. So here
I
we
think
go.
that's very interesting to know about feijoada is that they use all parts of the pork. It's not only
You use the
like the
nose,
good
the
parts. They
ears,
use the ears, they use the
So
at least in
so
the past.
Here are some
Okay.
of the institutions in Brazil. Feijoada,
Okay.
brigadeiro, farofa, pão de queijo, acarajé, moqueca, coxinha, churrasco,
I don't
pastel.
know why they put that picture in pastel, because pastel has nothing with that. But
Well,
Yeah.
it looks
With
like
what?
a feijoada,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's not
Mm.
pastel. Yeah, there's not pastel.
Okay.
not pastel. Yeah.
They missed
Oh.
by far. They missed by far. Let's
Okay.
go with feijoada first. Feijoada. We need some pictures of it. Feijoada.
You might have to click on the picture, so I don't know.
Images of feijoada. Ah, this
Yeah,
is
there you
typical
go.
feijoada.
There you
Okay.
go. Oh, in
Ah,
Kobe. There you go.
That's
Yeah.
that's the
So
typical
this is
dish.
in English it's called kale. Kobe is
Kale,
called
yeah.
kale. Mhm.
Kale.
Okay.
And it's
Yeah.
and
I
it's
didn't know
like
that.
it's like cut up and stewed. So it's cooked in oil and some other ingredients. It's good. Water and oil.
Yeah. It's
How do
supposed to
you
be very
write,
healthy. Yeah?
Bruce, how do you spell it? Kale with a K or with a
Yeah,
C?
Kale.
Oh,
Here on the big picture,
Oh, kale, yeah.
there's most blue with the yellow thing is farofa.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
breadcrumb.
Yeah, that's
It looks a bit like couscous or something.
no, it
Sort
doesn't
of.
taste like couscous at all.
Sort of.
Not with Brazilian couscous.
Really different.
Yeah.
So the meats inside the feijoada is beans, black beans, okay, and that's
Yeah.
typical of Rio de Janeiro. It's called black beans, and they call it's cariocas. But anyway, the beans are mixed with meats and onions. I think you have onions and garlic and stuff like that. But the meats are like sausages, cubes of beef and pork. I think maybe it's, I don't know if it's beef, but I think it is, but pork, but it's very good, but it's very rich. So you can't eat a lot.
Yeah.
Or
It
you
looks-
eat and go to sleep. Okay.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah, it looks
Our
heavy.
our hot dog here is very special as well,
Yeah.
right? So do you like hot dogs, Charlotte?
Yes.
That good. So, Matheus, so write
Ah,
down
let's go.
cachorro quente do russo.
Brazilian,
It's very
Brazilian
special
hot
here
dog.
in my
That's the Brazilian.
No,
hot
no,
dog.
that's not too good, too big, right? There are many
Well,
particular things.
Now I'm starting to get hungry.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
the hot dogs have mashed potatoes on top. And then
sometimes.
they have ketchup, mustard, they have some maybe corn.
Yeah.
And then they have shoestring potatoes. I don't know what they call them in your area, but we call them shoestring potatoes in Michigan.
Okay. It's like
So-
the finely cut potatoes.
Yes, uh-huh.
Comparison.
Yeah.
US hot dog, Brazil hot dog. Let me check.
Yeah, like it. We also put on pea, like
Brazilian
corn, right, on there.
Hot dog. No, our hot dog has no comparison.
A lot of things, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is a very simple example.
Oh, yeah. So it's like a whole full
It's a
dish in
meal.
Brazil.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a whole dish. Yeah, it's a meal.
Can you
It's
eat it with your
simple.
hands, or do you need like a fork and a knife? And
I prefer to eat it with a fork and knife.
yeah,
We
I
always
don't like
have
this stuff
trouble
all
with
over
it.
my hands.
We always have
Yeah,
trouble with it, but it doesn't matter. We eat anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can replace a lunch, for example. Right?
Yeah.
Really replace that.
That's
So,
it.
it's like
So
whole
Charlotte,
lunch.
have you been to a Brazilian restaurant?
I think that for a while it was popular with like they call it Brazilian barbecue, but it was very similar to all the other barbecue we have here. So I don't know if it's the actual genuine Brazilian experience, but they had like, yeah, you know, the metal skewer and they
Yep.
cut off.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But that was like the Norwegian version of the Brazilian
Okay, but
restaurant.
it's similar.
Yeah.
And this is pastel here.
Pastel.
Mhm.
It's one of our
Pastel.
most famous savory. It's the pastry.
Oh, okay.
Oh, delicious. I miss that. I don't
this
miss
is great.
much, but that one, oh.
This is
Yeah.
great. My favorite one is cheese pastel with sugarcane juice. No, it's sugarcane
Yes.
juice.
Mm.
Sugarcane juice.
Yeah.
Oh, delicious.
That's it.
I think it's time to stop, guys. Everybody's getting hungry.
No, no.
Oh my goodness, I miss that.
That's the institution. That's it.
Oh my
That's the
God.
thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to
Yeah.
an open market, you know, an open fair market, that's the thing you need to order to
Yeah.
immerse in our culture. That's the thing. Yeah.
Yes. And big portions, right?
That's a medium
Yeah,
size portion,
big.
but if you want, you can order a big one. Yeah.
Yes.
Like also with the sugarcane juice, you can order 1 liter easy, you know, they don't have just
Yeah.
one size, they have different sizes, so don't worry, you're not gonna leave thirsty at
Exactly.
all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the typical one. This is the typical one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
That's Malufi.
But do you know Guaraná? Charlotte, do you remember? I think you drank here, Guaraná. That is a soft drink. It's also very famous from this Brazilian
Guaraná?
fruit. No?
That's
I'm not
the
sure
exotic
now.
fruit. That's the exotic fruit that where I think we ground and dry the thing and we make the soda
where
called
extract
guarana.
that to
Yeah.
become a
Yeah.
soda, right?
It's really,
Yeah.
delicious.
Yeah, I don't recognize that.
No? Oh,
No.
next time you come, I'm gonna have to show you all that. And then we're also
Yeah.
gonna have to go to a Brazilian restaurant here nearby. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's also very famous. This juice powder, we call
Oh yeah,
it.
yeah, you gave me some of that.
Yeah,
Tang.
right.
Yeah, but Brazil is giant, so we have all
And then
kinds of foods
acai
here.
is also very famous at the moment.
Acai,
Like when I
acai.
left Brazil, it was not known, but now it's really everywhere.
That's
Yeah,
acai.
we heard about it here too.
Yeah,
It's very healthy, they say.
it's very healthy. Yes.
Mm.
The typical one. When I was living
Oh, wow.
in the north of Brazil, in Pará, they used to eat acai with farinha de tapioca.
Okay.
With
You try.
It
flour.
looks nice.
Yeah, you
Mm.
see that there's also
Yeah.
something like back in the days when I was in São Paulo, I never had that as a child. But you see everything changed now.
Yeah.
That's the traditional one. Kind of the original recipe from the Indians in Brazil. They used to eat acai without sugar, and we're using this what's the name? This farinha. I
Yeah,
forgot the-
flour seeds.
Yeah, with this flour. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like
Okay.
it's styrofoam, ground in styrofoam, but it's
Yeah.
not. I swear it's not.
Okay,
You can
guys,
eat it.
we're gonna have to wrap it up. Charlotte, thank you so much for being here with us. I hope you're not that nervous because I know you're wondering how it would be. I think it went really smooth. You did your homework. Everybody was very interested and curious about you. So I really hope someday you can come back and meet the
Yeah,
other
I hope
members
so too.
of our
Thank
community.
you very much.
This is just like five of us, but there are plenty more. So maybe next time we can get to know the others as well. And I was thinking about doing something in the future, like we're gonna do the opposite, like you would be asking us all the questions. You see, that's something that's gonna come up in the future. So if you're interested, please let me know. But for the time being, thank you so much. I think
Thank you,
everybody
Charlotte.
also
Thank
is
you,
Thank you very much.